breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty. Mornings on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply. When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Thanks for taking time to talk with us this morning.
Good morning. How are y'all today?
Well, we're doing well. You gave an update to the Transportation Committee. They held a hearing. Tell us, what's your update? What did you tell them?
Well, the biggest part of it was that there was a cultural resource survey that had to have been done basically on all the alternatives, but an update to that based on the alternative, what was called Alternative 3A. That's the alternative, the build-through alternative that cuts north of the power plant rather than south of the power plant. All that was submitted to DOTD and Federal Highways. They concurred with it and sent it on to SHPO 2 weeks ago. Part of that report includes over 500 standing structure inventory forms. Each of those forms is around 5 pages long, so you can imagine how thick and big that thing is to review and go over. But then just gave them an update of where we are on the project, on the process. We should have the draft alternatives chapter of the EIS submitted within the fourth quarter of this year. That keeps us on track with the schedule that the department presented in June.
What are the hurdles still ahead, as simple as you can make it?
The NEPA process in general.
What is that? Explain that.
The National Environmental Protection Act. Anytime you take $1 in federal funds, you have to follow the NEPA process and do evaluation of cultural, historic, wetlands, floodplains, you name it, you have to evaluate it and look at it. And you have to compare all the different alternatives together equally for all those different variables.
Are we close to the end of that? I mean, it's been 16 years.
Yeah, yes. We see light at the end of the tunnel, as I told them. Once SHPO concurs with that report, we can finalize a few things and submit them to Federal Highways and get a preferred alignment out of that. And then just the rest of it is a very procedural process that would begin roughly the second quarter of next year. It has to go to Federal Highways for their legal sufficiency review. It has to go to their Civil Rights Division, several other divisions there. They have various different time frames to review them. Once they review it and concur with it, then we can put it on the street for public comment.
Again,
it has to be on. Well, this is for what the formal final public hearing on the document.
Kent Rogers with the North Louisiana Council on Government. Kent, there's been a contingent in town that's been opposed to this, building through particular areas of town. Where are we on that? How do you address that?
Correct. Well, that's what all this work has been, is to address all the different alternatives and present all of the impacts and benefits to each of them, so that Federal Highways can make an informed decision on that preferred alternative.
A boulevard that they've talked about, the Allendale Strong, making that a boulevard through Allendale, that's not what the federal government would approve, correct?
That's not what is being studied in this process. One of the very first things that you have to do is, with Federal Highways, get concurrence on what the purpose and need is. And the purpose and need described in this document is a interstate grade highway, not a boulevard.
Will it be an elevated highway through Allendale? Is that the plan?
If the build through is the alternative, it's all elevated, from where it runs into 20 now all the way up to 220. The intent with the build through alternatives is that it would be higher than normal and the spans would be longer than normal. And that keeps it more open, keeps the ability to cut underneath and through and whatnot better, raises it up higher so that it's not as obtrusive. It will not be a giant wall like built through town. It'll be all on pilings and pier beam type thing.
Kind of like a 3-mile bridge?
Similar to that. It'll be elevated and elevated a little bit higher than normal.
Mm-hmm.
Ken, spans longer than normal.
With it being higher and longer, does that mean it's going to cost more? And what about funding? Are we good with funding? Where is that coming from?
No, that wouldn't cost that much more to do it. And part of what we're doing along with that is what they call context sensitive and community design. So taking into consideration things that help to blend it into the environment and into the neighborhood and into the area. In terms of funding, from the state side, we have 3 different dedicated funding sources. Of course, we have some funding left from the Unclaimed Properties Act. That was the one that was originally developed to get construction from 220 the Arkansas border done. We have $100 million coming from the BP oil spill settlement for that project, for that fund. And then also a couple of years ago, they passed it's the automotive sales and use tax, basically tax on cars, tax on rental vehicles and whatnot. A portion of that goes into the Transportation Trust Fund at the state level, and a portion of that gets moved over gets divided among it's either 4 or 5 state mega projects. And of that, roughly this year, I think 49 North received somewhere in the $32 to $37 million range. Henceforth, it's anticipated somewhere between 40 and 42 million a year in perpetuity.
Now, this is a $1 billion project, though, so the feds are going to fund the bulk of it.
Correct. We would go after federal funding for it, yes, and we would go after that as much as possible and as much as we can. But one thing I reminded the committee the other day was that 220, the Arkansas border, was roughly 65-35, 65 being state funds.
Would there be an exit at Caddo or Ford Street or whatever we're going to call that exit? Is that the one exit on this 3.5 mile stretch?
The build-through alternative would actually have 2 internal exits, one at Caddo Ford and one at Hearn.
Kent Rogers with NLCOG. So with all the studies and all the federal funding getting in line, when do you expect us to start turning dirt?
We should have a ROD again in 2026. At that point, the department could make some determinations of how they're going to let that project. It all depends on how they do that. We are encouraging them to use more of the design build method, similar to what they did on the Gate Access Road, what they've done with Jimmy Davis. It cuts down. What that does is you let the engineering and construction contracts all at the same time. That cuts out, normal processes. You'd let an engineering contract, and at the end of that, then you'd go out for a right-of-way contract, and then you go out for utilities, and then you go out for construction. And in each one of those phases, that's, anywhere from 8 months to a year in that, letting and contract selection and negotiating and getting people under contract. So when you do the design build, it cuts several iterations of that advertising and selecting and contract negotiation out the window.
And how long is the build?
So
how long is the build for this?
Time frame to get it constructed?
Yes, sir.
Once they begin, I would say 3 to 5 years, maybe.
Okay.
That all depends again on how that contract gets let and how aggressive, the contractors in the state are in getting it done.
Well, I didn't think we'd see it in our lifetime, quite frankly.
Well, we might, huh?
We might.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if all goes well and all the stars align and everything, yeah, we would see it.
Kent Rogers, North Louisiana Council on Governments. Thanks for your time, sir.
You're welcome. Anytime.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Great story coming up after the news, top of the hour. This is fantastic.
Wow.
Terry Netterville, of course, one of the mamas on American Ground Radio.
Wait till you hear this amazing story.
We'll do that after the news, top of the hour. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM.
Now more breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
All right, you sent me a text yesterday. You sent me the link for the city council meeting.
Mm-hmm. You want that hour back now, don't you?
I really, really wish you hadn't even done. Aaron, I'm sorry. And I'm going to say this. James Green is despicable. He's a despicable human. I'm sorry.
Well, he
everything he says, first of all, is self-serving.
Yeah.
And it's divisive. It is designed to cause divisiveness. Under the guise of trying to come together.
Right.
And yet, he says things to the mayor like, say it to my face.
Yeah.
Let's
let you hear a little taste of what James Green yesterday during the council meeting calling out Mayor Tom Arsenault.
And Mr. Mayor, for you to say that what we're doing because we're asking to just get our police officers out of there before they get sick, some might already be sick, then it's political. We have done our job. And I commend everybody up here. It has never been, well, let's wait. We've done our job. And then to go on the radio and not call to say, hey, look, why don't we do this or why don't we do this? This building is available. This building is available. To go on radio and to basically grandstand that we just doing something because it's political. I'm termed out, so I ain't trying to do nothing political.
Okay, that is where I take issue. Because Mayor Arsenault, he's referring to Mayor Arsenault on KEEL from last week when he came in with the chief. And
who was not called when the letter was sent.
Yeah. You didn't call the mayor when you sent out the letter. You didn't call him and go, hey, heads up, we're sending out this letter to you. Nor did the mayor ever on this radio station call this political. Never once said this is a political stunt by James Green and the other 2 council members. Here's what we asked the mayor when I asked him specifically about, did you get a heads up before this letter that they wrote calling for an emergency, before that letter was sent out? Mayor, the letter you got from the 3 council members this week, did you know it was coming? Did they give you a heads up?
Nope.
And how surprised were you? And are you planning to try to declare an emergency?
I doubt seriously that I'll declare an emergency, because there is not anything that declaring an emergency would give us as a tool that will help us address these problems any quicker. I respect the council members for bringing the issue more clearly to our attention. I understand their frustration. I share their frustration. But what we have to do is to move as methodically as we can to solve the problem, and we cannot solve the problem instantly.
And
never did he call it political. Not once.
And they're already working, Aaron, to solve the problem.
Yes.
They're rebuilding the station.
Mm-hmm. They're moving as quickly as they can on the substations. They've moved some officers out. They're trying to find spaces for others. It's okay for James Green not to give the mayor a heads up on you're sending this letter out, but the mayor didn't give you a heads up that he was going to.
He's trying to call the mayor out.
Yeah, and now I'm hearing him talk at the council meeting about why we passed this bond issue 2 years ago, and why are we now why haven't we seen any movement on the substations? Where were you guys when we were 13 years down the road for Knight Street for a bond issue?
Well, I think the comment was made, we weren't on the council when that was approved, so that's not our responsibility.
And now they're screaming bloody murder about why these projects from 2 years ago aren't done. I'm going to need some tequila, Xanax. What else we got? We got anything else?
I need some, a little Jameson in my little Irish in my coffee this morning.
Let's go rock some of that. Oh boy,
Mike and McCarty. By the way, coming up, let's change gears a little bit. Ooh. We're gonna make you feel good.
Mm-hmm. Get a tissue.
One of the American mamas from American Ground Radio, Terry Netterville, shared a story with us yesterday you don't want to miss. That's coming up right after the news, bottom of the hour. 101.7 FM, 710keel.com.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
FM. Hold on. I'll turn this down. Ruben's not here. I hope he's enjoying his time.
I hope so, too.
Selfish bastard.
Jaden Daniels beat Joe Burrow last night.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a good game.
You know, a lot of times you wonder how, because look at college quarterbacks that were lit it up in college. Go Danny Werfel. Mm-hmm. I mean, my gosh.
Tim Tebow.
I was getting there. Even RG3. You can say even RG3.
Johnny Manziel.
It did not translate to the NFL.
Mm-mm.
And, Johnny Manziel was another one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I say it that way.
That was part of his problem. He was part of the problem, Yeah,
he was his own worst enemy. Yeah. But I was kind of wondering about that with Jaden Daniels, because you don't really want a quarterback to take off and run every time.
No.
You want your quarterback like a Nussmeier.
Mm-hmm.
You want him to be able to stand in the pocket and take care of business.
Yep.
So I kind of wondered how that was going to translate to the NFL.
He's done well.
But my gosh.
Transforming that Washington team. Big time.
Well, between he and then Dan, the head coach, I can see his face. I just went blank.
From Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah, I love him too.
Yeah. So
it's really cool. They looked good.
They did. They really did.
Joe didn't do bad. He didn't have a bad night. He and Lamar Chase connected a couple times for TDs. But
Jamar.
That's
Did
what
you
I
call
said.
him Lamar?
No, Jamar.
I thought you said Lamar. My bad.
No. Sorry. Thanks for calling
day.
me out on it. But yeah,
people are going to text you.
I know, you're right.
You know.
No, you're right. You're right. Anyway, but I got to thinking, Aaron, look, 2 Heisman winning LSU quarterbacks going at it in the NFL.
Head to head.
It was so cool.
Mm-hmm. And it was a super game. It really was. I watched it. I was excited.
I watched, I didn't watch the whole thing. I had rehearsal, so I didn't get home until 8:45 or so. Ooh. Yeah. But I watched a little bit of it. And then I took my happy butt to bed.
I get that. Get you a tissue for what's coming up next.
Terry Netterville, one of the American mamas, shared a wonderful story with us. Hear that coming up. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710keel.com.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
.101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
I don't know if I can stomach this one.
Oh, no, this is going to be good. We're on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline. One of the American mamas from American Ground Radio, Terry Netterville, joining us. Terry, good morning.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Well, we're doing well. How are you after a big weekend?
Exhilarated. You thought I was going to say exhausted. I'm exhilarated. I'm still on a high.
Your Summer got married this weekend. Your daughter,
yes.
Your only daughter.
Yes, she got married.
Your story on Facebook with regard to your mother and your father, I'm going to let you tell it because we all want to connect with somebody who's no longer with us. And holy cow, did y'all do it? Tell us what happened.
Aaron, it was incredible. So we were, we had all 14 bridesmaids here, and we were trying to find a place to take a picture for the bridesmaids in summer. We couldn't find one inside, so the photographer said, let's go outside. And I have a tree that we planted for my father after he died 17 years ago. And I said, let's just go over here by the tree. So my sisters and I looked at each other and smiled. And we thought, well, that's priceless to us. Mm-hmm. So we get over there, and you have to understand that my mom died suddenly a few months ago. And we were there with her the last week on Earth. And we were sitting around her bed talking to her a couple of days before she died. And she said, I'm telling you for right now, listen to me when I say this. I'm going to do a much better job than Dad did at letting y'all know that it is me when I give you signs. And we laughed because we wanted more signs from Dad.
Sure.
She said, it is going to be not the, family numbers on the clock. It's going to be, you're going to know, I promise you. And I'm going to bring Dad along for the ride. And when I get to heaven, I'm going to get on to him for not making it very clear. So, we were so excited. We were like, you drew comfort from it. Well, we haven't received that many yet, just the numbers on the clock. But when we were out there by the tree, all of a sudden, we're watching them. And Summer, who has been missing her grandmother fiercely, all of a sudden she looks up, and these 2 huge butterflies came right, and they did this like twirly-whirly little dance in front of her face. And all of the bridesmaids looked, and we were all like, oh, because they were swirling around her. And we were, my sisters and I were, at first, we were just kind of looking at each other. And then, Summer watched them, and they stayed close to the tree by the batting cage for the entire session of getting this picture.
And this is during a photography session, so the photographer was there.
Yes, yes. So, but it was my sister who captured it, because he was getting them ready, and my sister was videotaping that whole process. And we all, when the butterflies came, it was just so it was so different from any other time that a butterfly just flied in front of you. It was two of them, and they were staying right in front of her, enough to where all of the bridesmaids eventually looked over and were going, what is happening right now? And we knew. You know, our mom said, you'll know, you'll have no doubt. You don't have to think it's a coincidence. I am telling you, when we show up, you're going to know and you're going to feel it, and just know it's us. We knew it. We felt it. I'm getting emotional right now because it was different from any other side.
I'm about to cry. Are y'all bawling? Are you and your sisters bawling?
My gosh. We cried our fresh makeup faces off. We huddled up. You know, we gathered around. We all knew what was going on, but my sisters and I especially knew. So we all looked at each other, and we were looking at the phone to see if Lindsay captured it. And when we realized that she did, we huddled up, and we just were crying and laughing and thanking Mom. And Summer was like, she's here. She promised. She's here.
Oh.
And so we all just felt, it was so interesting, y'all, because it really, it set the tone for the rest of the day. And we were just all euphoric because we knew for sure that they were with us. And sometimes you wonder, you know, the veil between us and them is so sheer. And when you do feel that tangible tap of the heart and go, oh, that was them. I feel them, or I smell them, or whatever. That one was so real. I don't think I've ever had anything happen that just solidified the fact of God's promises that love is stronger than death. They are with us. We will be with them again one day. And these are the glimpses of God and a glimpse of heaven that just, I don't know, it just makes you go forth with hope and joy, and it's contagious. I've had so many people reach out and say that they have felt so moved because we crave that. In a world today when things seem kind of unsteady, we crave a steadiness like that that is filled with hope.
Well, you've got these pictures posted on your Facebook that are just fascinating. And Terry, we're talking with Terry Netterville, one of the American mamas on American Ground Radio. When my mother-in-law, she loved butterflies.
Yes.
And my daughter, Mrs., you're going to make me get all emotional. And there have been experiences with butterflies. It's just fascinating. Yeah. I mean, we've experienced this very thing, with Nana, and it means a lot to my daughter. So I know exactly what this means to you.
You draw comfort, don't you?
Yes.
You draw comfort from it. And it lets, and I told my kids the same thing. I said, if something ever happens to me, I'm telling you, I'll be right there. I mean, as helicopter mom you think I am now, and I'm able to be there for y'all. But Mom made that, it was so interesting because at the end, it's hard because we, as that week came to a close and she was getting weaker, it was the one day that the four of us, her four babies, my two sisters, my brother, and I, were sitting around her, holding her hands, talking about memories, the things that you do. Mm-hmm. And she just, in that moment of clarity, she said, I want y'all to listen to me. And it was she was so convicted by what she was saying that we just drew such comfort. And then we laughed about, her saying, he's going to get in trouble. I told him I need clearer signs from you. So when she was serious in that moment, I thought, wow, what a beautiful thing to say to us. Not really imagining what it would really feel like in real time when it happens. And when it did happen yesterday, it was you had a taste of heaven. You feel closer. It's almost the only.
I'm Nicole Murray with Your Money Now. The Commerce Department has announced it is seeking a ban on the sale of connected and autonomous vehicles in the U.S. that are equipped with Chinese and Russian software and hardware. Officials said the goal of this ban would be national security and to protect U.S. drivers. Foot Locker celebrated its 50th anniversary this month and is looking to ensure that it will survive in the decades to come. CEO Mary Dillon spoke with CNBC about the strategies that are working and how its new stores are improving sales. According to analysts, to reclaim its throne as the market leader in sneakers, Foot Locker must differentiate itself from competitors and ensure that it properly executes its new strategies. Futures are slightly higher after the Dow reached a new record close again yesterday evening. Monday, the Dow Industrials gained 61, the NASDAQ up 25, the S&P 500 up 16. That's your money now.
Hey, I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Everyone on the road is trying to make it to their destination safely. You can help by staying aware of the large trucks and buses around you. They take longer to stop, have large blind spots, and make wide turns that require caution from other drivers. It takes all of us working together to share the road safely. Learn more at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov. Paid for by FMCSA.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Now more breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
101.7 FM 710 KEEL. Mike and McCarty.
Oh, gotta cut back.
I started bringing like a little yogurt in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so when I get here, it, just a little before 5 or whatever it is.
Yep.
And then that gets you to 9 or that'll get you through. But this stuff ain't cheap.
I pledged this week. I decided no more lunch out. I'm gonna order my lunches with my groceries so that I have lunch when I get home. But I still have my breakfast stuff that I don't eat. I don't eat breakfast out, but I have my special stuff I buy every day for every day. One is this little bottle of Starbucks, like Frappuccino, whatever.
Right.
That is that I mix with my coffee in the morning, and those I have every day. Then I have a Greek yogurt every day. Mm-hmm. I have a peach or a plum, and then I have a protein shake throughout the morning to get me through the morning. And I added it up driving in today. I went, how much is my little breakfast that all these little nuggets that the Starbucks thing is $2.50 a bottle.
Every day.
Every day.
Okay.
The yogurt is $1.30 every day.
$2.50. Hold on. $2.50, $1.30.
That's $3.80.
Hold on. Okay. $3. Yeah, you're right.
My peach is $1. So that's $4.80 Northwood.
Okay, there you go. I'm with you.
And then my protein shake is about $4. It's that Core Power protein.
Oh yeah.
And I found it on Amazon for $3, but you don't get it for that every regular. So I'm at what did we say? $3.80, $4.80. I'm at $8.80.
$9.
$9 every morning for what to me is my little. These are going to get me through the.
And this is not like sitting down and having eggs and toast and bacon breakfast
this is
for
not
$9-10.
No. Unreal. It's unreal. And 2-3 years ago, this would have been $5 or $6.
Right.
I'm going to have to cut back. I'm going to now use just half the Starbucks is going to go in the coffee. Maybe use the protein shake in the coffee and skip the Starbucks. I don't know.
I would, because I'm not giving Starbucks a nickel.
I know.
Just me. But,
and I don't go to the store. I buy the little 4-pack of those bottles they sell. But where is the money going?
Yeah.
Why is this stuff so darn? Those yogurts used to be $2 for $1. I used to buy those Greek yogurts $2 for $1.
Right.
They're now $1.30 each. How are people affording this stuff?
Well, a lot of people can't.
I don't
A lot of people can't.
And this isn't high dollar stuff.
Right. That's what I'm saying. This is not like you're sitting down with a big breakfast.
No.
This is a piece of fruit and some yogurt and coffee, and you're spending $10 a day.
One peach is $1. When did that happen?
Well,
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I don't know how regular folks are doing it. I really don't.
Bidenomics is working.
Oh, yeah. Loving it.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Coming up after the news, top of the hour, Tim Magner, Shreveport Chamber of Commerce, is going to address the I-49 connector issue. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710KEEL.com.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
And on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline, Shreveport Chamber of Commerce, Tim Magner joining us. Tim, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I threw him for a loop when I answered the phone. He said I was hoping to talk to would you call him the Rubinator? He'll be back on Wednesday.
Excellent.
He gets a few days off.
You testified before the Transportation Committee. Big topic was the I-49 inner city connector. It looked to me like, from hearing that we are getting darn close. Am I wrong?
Well, we have reached another milestone, which is in the process, which I think is an important thing to point out. The cultural study that takes into account all of the buildings and potential issues has been signed off on by DOTD and Federal Highways. They've begun doing these reviews in parallel rather than in series, so that's been helpful. So that now is at the SHPO office. They have 30 days or had 30 days from, I think, a couple of weeks ago to sign off on that. Once that is done, then the draft EIS is ready to go. And so then that's another hearing, and then we're moving forward. But what I think was most helpful is that we had an opportunity to talk about this in front of the Transportation Committee. Representative Phelps was instrumental in getting, when the speaker was up here, when Speaker de Villiers was up here, we had a meeting with him about it. She was instrumental in getting it on the agenda for the Transportation Committee. The secretary was there. Kent Rogers was there. And I think there's definitely some attention that's being paid now in Baton Rouge. The Transportation Committee is on record now asking about this. And so I think those are all very positive developments.
The opposition from Allendale Strong and some in the neighborhood, I only saw one person show up, but I guess they presented written testimony.
I believe there was a letter that was submitted, yeah.
Are there concerns? Have they been addressed? Are we beyond the opposition now, do you think?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, my sense is that the folks in Allendale Strong are opposed to any highways anywhere, and so I don't know what their specific position is. I do know that Route 3A, which was designed in part to circumvent the entire Allendale neighborhood, I think was designed as a way to provide a way forward for that. They continue to be, at least as they mentioned in their testimony, against the road itself. I think a lot is being done to address their concerns. Certainly, the cultural study, is designed to evaluate, if there are historic structures or other things like that need to be taken into account.
Well, you mentioned that they're opposed to any highway. One of the representatives, I remember, it's been a year ago, told us on this program that interstates through towns kill the towns. They were opposed to I-49 coming through Shreveport just in general. Apparently, I-20 is not good in Shreveport. Do you think an interstate through a town kills a town?
No, I mean, I think if you look at the interstate, you look at the development, even just saying, I mean, we've had I-49 south for a while, but if you look at what's happening in I-49 north, where's the development happening? It's happening in, up near in Belcher. It's happening in Dixie. There are new developments that are happening right along the roadway.
North Shreveport.
It does bring economic development. And I think when you look at the challenge that our inner city has, when you look at the challenge that places like Allendale have, having interchanges at 4th Street and at Hearn will spur development in those areas. And that will encourage people to move back in or to develop new business opportunities in those areas.
Dr. Tim Magner with the Shreveport Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to hope you can do this for me. I'm going to kind of close my eyes, and you take me on the route of 3A. I'm on I-49 North. I'm headed toward Allendale. Where does 3A go?
So 3A basically goes, between Allen Avenue and Pete Harris.
Okay.
There's a block there basically. So what it does is it starts immediately across I-20. It sort of moves a little to the, let me get this right, a little to the east of Pete Harris, goes up along that roadway there. Then it flares out toward the Waterworks Museum, kind of loops around by where the scrapyard is, and then comes back across over the top or around by the Swepco plant, and then essentially comes back into the grassy area. So the area between 220 and Hearn Avenue is open field basically. Mm-hmm. And so what we're really talking about is about 1.5 miles, maybe 2 miles total of that 3.5 mile distance where people are involved. And so it's really just a question of does it go straight up between Allen Avenue and Pete Harris, which would be the Route 1 area that then cuts across the very top of the Allendale neighborhood, or does it flare out and go basically all the way around? So it crosses the bayou up there twice. Mm-hmm. It goes once over across where the scrapyard is, and then it comes back across, because it has to tie into where 220 and 49 meet right now. And in fact, a lot of when they put the 220 interchange in there for I-49 North, a lot of that infrastructure is already ready to go for the tie-in. So it has to finish up there. It's just a question of how it gets there.
There's been some concern over the years that our local delegation was not on the same page with regard to this. Do you think we are now all on the same page, the vast majority of our local leaders?
I think the vast majority are. I don't know that there's unanimity in that. Certainly one of our representatives, had some pointed questions during the hearing on Friday. But I will say that at least 2 of the 3 that are on the Transportation Committee appear to be in support of it. And I know Representative Phelps specifically is very supportive and wants to see it done.
The alternative of the Loop It, which would use the Cross Lake Bridge, would really be cost prohibitive, would it not?
Well, it's not. I mean, so first of all, you have to widen the bridge or replace it, and and that's our water supply. So that creates a whole host of environmental and other concerns. But the other piece you have to recognize is that the interchange at 49 and 3132 would have to be replaced. That big flyover, that is not built to interstate standards either. And that itself would be almost, to replace that, would be almost as costly as the entire, Route 1 or 3A. Mm. So, because you'd have to take down that entire interchange and rebuild it in order to meet interstate standards, and you'd have to widen 3132. So you're looking at 14 miles of construction that involves getting replacing an interchange and replacing the bridge. And widening 14 miles of 3132. So, the cost models are exponentially more.
Gotcha.
Well, we'll stay in touch. Thank you so much, Tim. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike.
Back to the big stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
What'd you say? You just got a missing kids?
Yeah, we have an alert for 2 missing children from the Shreveport Police Department. They're seeking the public's help to find these 2 missing children, 9-year-old Charles Williams and 7-year-old Cajun Williams. The children left their home on Green Terrace just before 6 this morning, and they are missing. We don't know if they were taken by a non-custodial parent or what the circumstances are, but police are urging anybody with any information about these children to contact them immediately and keep them in your prayers. We're hoping for their safe return to their family members. We're going to put that on the KEEL website here as soon as possible. And we've got photos now from the police department. For that family, just a horrible, I can't
imagine.
For those moments, you're just fearful. I'm hoping they're safe, and perhaps someone drove them to school. I don't know. I don't know the circumstances, but for police to put out an alert like this, there has to be something that they're very concerned about.
I remember specifically because it's a moment as a parent you never want to experience, explaining to a police officer what your child is wearing. Because we were, when my son was, 6 or 7, and we were at Pierre Bourget Mall.
Yeah.
This is obviously 30 years ago. I turned around, he's gone. I'm like, it's not like we were inattentive parents.
Right, exactly.
And oh my gosh, Aaron! You've got 2 boys. I'm sure you experienced moments where you're like, "Whoa, wait a minute!"
Right.
And he was not anywhere near us, and we had come in at the service merchandise entrance.
All right.
That entrance that faces the interstate, and he was ready to go home. He left. And he
exited the mall?
And he had gone back to service merchandise, and then I guess realized he couldn't get in the car. So they have those silver rails outside the door, leaning toward he was just kind of spinning on those rails, waiting for us to come back. He knew we'd come back out that way.
Wow.
But I'm explaining to a Bossier City police officer, well, he's wearing, what he's wearing, and we can't find him.
Whew. Frightening.
And this is before it got like it is now.
Oh, absolutely.
So
where there are child predators everywhere.
Yes,
yeah.
Right. But it was still scary. So these parents that don't know where their children are, I can't imagine a little, but not like this.
Yes, very scary. And they're hoping that everybody in that area, this is kind of a Southwest Shreveport neighborhood, will keep alert. If you saw anything this morning suspicious on Green Terrace, they want to hear from you. They want to try to find these kids as soon as possible. As soon as we get an update, of course, we will let you know, definitely.
We'll find out. Coming up, the storm system, possible Hurricane Helene moving through the Gulf. We're going to touch base with meteorologist from the Weather Channel, Richard Llewellyn, coming up after the news, bottom of the hour. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710KEEL.com.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Mike and McCarty.
Put something up on our Facebook page. I'm just curious if your mom ever did anything that embarrassed you. And I know if you were to ask my two boys if their mom ever did anything, they would say, she opened her mouth. That would be it. I have one. I put mine up on the Facebook page, the KEEL Facebook page. My mom called everyone honey or sweetie. It didn't matter where we were. Thank you, honey. Thank you, sweetie.
Right.
And when I was younger, it didn't bother me. When I became a teenager, I was like, would you stop calling everyone honey or sweetie? It drives me crazy.
That doesn't bother me.
Drives me. And so to this day, if you call me honey or sweetie, I want to punch you in the mouth.
Really?
Punch you in the mouth. Don't call me honey or sweetie. I don't know you. I'm not your honey and I'm not your sweetie.
There's a waitress at a local place that does that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I see how insincere that sounds.
Yeah,
now.
Exactly. That's what to me, it was like, Mom, stop. She was just this Southern old, and it drove me crazy.
I catch myself doing it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Every now and then.
I catch myself doing it. Thank you, hon, or something. I don't know.
Oh.
It sounds condescending, but I certainly don't mean it that way.
Oh, she never meant it. She meant it as sweet as it could be. But I tell you today, and we got to take a break, if I could hear my mom say honey or sweetie one more time,
see, I
bring it on.
Believe me, I have breakfast with my mom on Saturdays with my sister, and we treasure that. And my mom's doing great, and she never meets a stranger. I'm telling you, she never meets a stranger.
Our moms would have been thick as thieves. Thick as thieves. Hey, honey.
We were in Straw on Saturday morning, and there's a motorcycle gang in there. I'm not talking a club. I'm talking the actual patches on the back. And they're just having breakfast, And I'm in line, and I hear some laughter, and there's 4 or 5 of them. My mom is in the middle of them.
Yeah, she's right
cutting
there.
Up. I'm like, I've never met a stranger, and I love it.
Yeah,
absolutely love it. Tropical storm moving into the Gulf, possible a major hurricane, Helene, and right now it's moved east, hitting Florida. We're going to talk with Richard Llewellyn from the Weather Channel, find out about the latest on that next. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.8.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
To the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
On the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline, Weather Channel meteorologist Richard Llewellyn joining us. Tropical storm. Is it a tropical storm, Richard? And we know it's expected to be a major hurricane.
Yeah, it's still classified as a potential tropical cyclone, but that will more than likely be classified Helene later today as it gets a little bit better organized. Of course, it's been fighting a lot of shear. There's another hurricane over in the eastern Pacific right now with John, and John's kind of been giving it a little bit of a hard time trying to get it to wrap around itself. But I think, we will lose the influence of John as it makes its way into Mexico and it starts to get a little bit better organized. Expected to rapidly intensify and become a major hurricane before landfall on Thursday.
So John in the Pacific, and then Helene. Did we skip I? No I?
No, I is next, and we'll probably have that in the next couple of days as we've got a tropical wave that have come off the African coast, and it has a pretty good chance of development. The next name on the list will be Isaac. And of course, I-name storms are the most retired named storms of all hurricane names. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. Right now, I don't think Isaac's going to be a big deal. It looks like it's probably just going to kind of move across the Atlantic and turn out into the open waters and not impact anybody except maybe if you're a boat or a ship out there in the middle of the Atlantic somewhere. But right now, I don't think Isaac's going to be a big concern for anybody.
We heard a report, Helene possibly making landfall by Thursday. Is that correct?
Yeah, this thing is going to haul the mail, as what we would say. It's going to move rather fast. In fact, we could see this storm moving onshore in the Florida Big Bend at 30 miles per hour, which is comparable to what Hurricane Opal did in 1995 when it slammed into the Florida Panhandle. It was moving at about 25 miles per hour. And when you have a storm moving that fast, the impacts are going to spread for hundreds of miles inland because it's going to take a while for that storm to spin down. And we could be dealing with hurricane conditions as far north as Atlanta and Interstate 20 in parts of Georgia and up into the Carolinas. We are also looking at the potential of a significant rainfall event that could spread all the way up into East Tennessee and western North Carolina with up to 10 inches of rain possible. In fact, here at my house, which I'm in northwest Georgia, 30 miles west of Atlanta, we're calling for 9 inches of rain here. And I live on a lake. So I'm really concerned about that amount of water coming in a short period of time.
What about changing its direction at all? We're pretty confident it's headed toward Florida. I mean, I know these shift sometime, but not likely to shift back toward Louisiana, is it?
No, and the main reason for that is we have this huge closed low that's going to drop down right into the Arklatex, and that's what's going to help to steer the storm rapidly northward as we make our way on through the rest of the week. Of course, this is going to be responsible for some very nice weather for us, but, over in Florida, it's going to be a totally different animal. In fact, we're looking at a significant storm surge, could be as high as 20 feet. In Appalachia Bay, there could be up to 10 feet of storm surge in Tampa Bay, which would cause major flooding, record-setting flooding in Tampa Bay. So Tampa and St. Petersburg is also watching this very closely. And, of course, there could be, widespread flooding and inland flooding that will go for miles, basically north of Tampa all the way up into the Florida Big Bend.
Well, you almost feel guilty. The pressure system that's moving into our area, causing us to have nice weather, is pushing the hurricane toward the east.
Yeah, and if you look at it on the weather map, it looks like, it's like an atmospheric dance. It really is, because you watch this wave of low pressure moving around, grabbing this hurricane and then just wrapping it up, accelerating it fast up to the north. And, eventually this low that is over the Arklatex is going to absorb the hurricane, but, not before it does its, final song and dance for parts of the southeast, especially from Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas northward.
Richard Llewellyn with the Weather Channel. Richard, I'm looking at the Weather Channel website and at the extended forecast for our area, and we couldn't ask for better. The Red River Rebel kicks off this weekend. Next chance of rain, I don't see it until like midweek of or in October, about the 6th of October. Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, that's about what we're looking at. It looks like we've got a nice dry run of weather. Of course, drought concerns are widespread across the Arklatex right now. It's been fairly dry, especially north of I-20. So, this is going to be an ongoing concern. We'll get the drought monitor on Thursday, and, we'll probably see an expansion of the drought concerns for much of northern Louisiana as a result. So not expecting a whole lot in the way of rain all the way out through the first 10 days of October at this point. In fact, we may go, a pretty good while into October without seeing much in the way of any rain.
Richard Llewellyn from the Weather Channel, thank you for joining us. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
You bet. By the way, those children have been found safe. They are okay. Hopefully we'll have an update here before 8 o'clock. We're going to try to catch up with some folks.
Yeah, we gave a report earlier just a few minutes ago. 2 children were missing, but they have been located.
Yes.
safely. So
Thank God.
yes, literally, thank God. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710KEEL.com.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Right, hold on. Why can't I? Oh, here we go. There we go. Gotta punch the right buttons. Ruben out today. I got this on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker hotline this morning. Shreveport Police spokesman Chris Bordelon joining us. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
We love hearing some good news this morning.
Early today, we had a report of two missing children, 9-year-old Charles Williams and 7-year-old Cajun Williams, I guess his little sister. 6 a.m. went missing on Green Terrace Drive. What do you know about the case at this point? Are the kids okay?
The kids are okay. Luckily, with you guys' help and all of our media partners, we were able to get some information out very quickly, including to our officers. And some of our officers were circulating in the area and actually located the children and were able to return them back home.
Where were they? Were they just off playing someplace, or?
I don't have an exact location, but basically they were just in the neighborhood meandering about.
Was it time for them to go to their school bus? Or, I know it was like about 6 a.m., huh?
Well, and I just spoke with the detective. He's in the process. He's going to talk to the kids and see exactly what was going on. But the good news is that they have been returned, and everything on the police department's channels and the media's channels worked appropriately, and we were able to find these kids in a timely manner.
It's a frightening hour or two when this is happening. I imagine it was frantic, and you had a lot of officers circulating, didn't you?
Yes, I was awoken very early this morning by calls from officers and the media as well. We had at one point in time, I believe, 12 or 14 units on scene. Our detective showed up and did an outstanding job, began the process of issuing an Amber Alert, and it really is a huge teamwork victory when it comes to locating these children quickly and safely. So we're very happy with the outcome of this.
Chris Bordelon, Shreveport Police Department. Where is Green Terrace Drive?
That's going to be in South Shreveport. I believe it's an area that runs maybe off of St. Vincent. You'd have to let me get out a map to find it exactly, but it is in the south portion of Shreveport and what we refer to as Area 4.
Okay. Good news. The 7-year-old, 9-year-old brother and sister are okay. Parents can breathe easier this morning, and all is good. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good morning. Stay safe, brother. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty. Uh, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. You sent me a text yesterday. You sent me the link for the city council meeting.
Mm-hmm. You want that hour back now, don't you?
I really wish you hadn't even done. Aaron, I'm sorry. And I'm going to say this. Mm-hmm. James Green.
Well, he
everything he says, first of all, is self-serving.
Yeah.
And it's divisive. It is designed to cause divisiveness. Under the guise of trying to come together.
Right.
And yet, he says things to the mayor like, say it to my face.
Yeah. Let's let you hear a little taste of what James Green yesterday during the council meeting calling out Mayor Tom Arsenault.
And Mr. Mayor, for you to say that what we're doing because we're asking to just get our police officers out of there before they get sick. Some might already be sick. then it's political. We have done our job. And I commend everybody up here. It has never been, well, let's wait. We've done our job. And then to go on the radio and not call to say, hey, look, why don't we do this or why don't we do this? This building is available. This building is available. To go on radio and to basically grandstand that we just doing something cause it's political. I'm termed out, so I ain't trying to do nothing political.
Okay, that is where I take issue. Because Mayor Arsenault, he's referring to Mayor Arsenault on KEEL from last week when he came in with the chief. And
who was not called when the letter was sent.
Yeah. You didn't call the mayor when you sent out the letter. You didn't call him and go, hey, heads up, we're sending out this letter to you. Nor did the mayor ever on this radio station call this political. Never once said this is a political stunt by James Green and the other two council members. Here's what we asked the mayor when I asked him specifically about, did you get a heads up before this letter that they wrote calling for an emergency, before that letter was sent out? Mayor, the letter you got from the three council members this week, did you know it was coming? Did they give you a heads up?
Nope.
And how surprised were you? And are you planning to try to declare an emergency?
I doubt seriously that I'll declare an emergency because there is not anything that declaring an emergency would give us as a tool that will help us address these problems any quicker. I respect the council members for bringing the issue more clearly to our attention. I understand their frustration. I share their frustration. But what we have to do is to move as methodically as we can to solve the problem, and we cannot solve the problem instantly.
And
never did he call it political. Not once.
And they're already working, Aaron, to solve the problem.
Yes.
They're rebuilding the station.
Mm-hmm. They're moving as quickly as they can on the substations. They've moved some officers out. They're trying to find spaces for others. It's okay for James Green not to give the mayor a heads up on you're sending this letter out, but the mayor didn't give you a heads up that he was going to.
He's trying to call the mayor out.
Yeah, and then now I'm hearing him talk at the council meeting about why we passed this bond issue 2 years ago, and why are we now why haven't we seen any movement on the substations? Where were you guys when we were 13 years down the road for Ninth Street for a bond issue?
Well, I think the comment was made, we weren't on the council when that was approved, so that's not our responsibility.
And now they're screaming bloody murder about why these projects from 2 years ago aren't done. I'm going to need some tequila, Xanax. What else we got? We got anything else?
I need some, a little Jameson in my little Irish in my coffee this morning.
Let's go rock some of that. Oh boy,
Mike and McCarty.
Back with more.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
One thing we haven't talked about this morning is the Caddo Parish School Board. Mm-hmm. The lawsuit yesterday, Judge, was that?
Friday. Mm-hmm.
Friday.
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
Late Friday afternoon, Judge O'Callahan essentially threw out the lawsuit that was filed against the school board, denied their motion, the plaintiff's motion, claiming there was
Thank you, Judge.
Something done wrong on the school board's part. The judge threw it out. I've heard a couple of people say there's a possibility they may file a civil rights lawsuit. That could happen. But in the interim now, the Caddo School Board has scheduled a special meeting for tomorrow at 1:30 which will be open to the public. And they are expected to take a vote on Keith Burton to be the next superintendent. They've already interviewed Keith. I think they'll do another short, possibly interview tomorrow. I'm not sure. I'm waiting on to find out what the status of that meeting will be, and then take a vote. And then they're going to hold a news conference with Mr. Burton after the meeting. So I would assume the plan is to vote on him, to have him approved, then have a news conference, and then I'm not sure on, do they have his contract terms in place? I texted him last night to see, have y'all agreed on the contract terms yet? And he said, we're working on it. So they're working on it. I assume they're pretty close. Then he could take over as early as October 1, I would assume.
Okay, I just want to clarify. I want to make sure that I understand. The firm that was hired to vet candidates brought forth 6 candidates.
6 finalists, yes. 6
finalists out of all of the appliquees.
Yes.
Applicants.
Right.
Each school board member voted and graded each of those 6 candidates.
In a private ballot.
Separately,
on your own
unbeknownst
sheet.
to other school board members,
yes.
They graded each candidate individually. All 12 school board members graded the 6 candidates.
Yep, scale of 1 to 6.
Keith Burton scored twice as high as the second leading candidate.
Yep. He was the top choice for many of them.
Out of the school board's own members voting, grading each candidate.
Yep.
5 African-American candidates, 1 white local candidate. So is that the issue now?
Well,
because they don't seem to be happy now.
What they are claiming,
and by they I mean the opposition.
The elephant in the room is they are claiming the fix was in. That this was Keith Burton's job from jump. That's what they wanted from the beginning. That's what they're getting. And they wasted $75,000 hiring this outside firm. Here are some of the posts that are now circulating among the opposition today.
I'm just saying he scored twice as high as the next leading candidate in your own vote. That's all I'm saying.
They're quoting Shakespeare. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. Another, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Of course, that's Dr. King. And here is something that they are trying to push, and we need to be careful of this for tomorrow's meeting. And I'm quoting, if the 6 African-American members of the school board vote no on the motion to appoint Burton, the process starts over, which means that the conspiracy fails and justice prevails. If it's a deadlocked vote tomorrow, 6-6, that means you can't appoint Burton. You have to start from square one, or you have to convince one of them to change their vote. I'm hopeful, as I sit here today, that it is unanimous. I hope they come together, sing Kumbaya, hold hands, do whatever you got to do.
But we just need 7, right?
Just need 7.
Okay.
Yes, I'm pretty certain they have 7. I'd be shocked if they don't. I'm hoping the others who choose to vote against Burton will have a change of heart, will realize he does have a vision and a plan for Caddo Parish, and that we be unanimous, we support him, and we tell the public he was the best choice, period. Despite the PhDs of the other candidates or whatever else you got, he was the best qualified to run this system, and we're going with him. We want you to embrace him. We want you to support him, and let's move forward. I don't know if that'll happen or not. Keith Burton is scheduled to join us in studio Thursday morning. We're working on the scheduling for that. That is, if he gets appointed. But tomorrow's meeting's at 1:30. It's open to the public, and you're welcome to go to the meeting and watch what happens to see what happens.
Will there be public input allowed?
It's a meeting, so people can sign up to speak, and then they get their 3 minutes.
Okay.
And again, I anticipate that will be the longest part of the meeting. Dozens and dozens of people will probably show up, and will probably stand up and speak, in opposition to this appointment. I'm not hearing anybody say negative about Burton. I'm hearing them talk about the process, about how, you had possibly better qualified candidates. You had people that in the system that were not among the finalists, that maybe should have been included among the finalists. I'm not privy to that list because because it was a private company, they didn't have to release the whole list. They only released the final 6.
But now, out of the 6 finalists, out of the 5 remaining, there are those that said, you know what? Take my name out of this. After all of this got started, some of those finalists have said, no, I don't want to be in contention for this anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is this saying to the rest of the country?
Right.
That we can't even get along.
I know.
That we can't agree on anything. We can't come together as a city, as a community.
Right. And,
on anything, Aaron. Look at the city council. Look, we can't come together on anything. What is it going to take?
And I would like somebody that is opposing this, I would like them to explain to me, what about the process did they deviate from? Did they promise they were going to interview 3 candidates? Did we make assumptions they were going to interview 3? I never heard that. I went back and listened. I never heard them say, we promised to interview 3. We've promised to interview the final 2 or anything like the suspicion is that the fix was in. That's what the suspicion is. And so that's part of the problem. That's why the public is so upset.
Christina Tharp, who made the motion to only interview Keith Burton, told us the next day that was not planned. She saw the process at that point. She saw the voting from every school board member and said, this is our man.
Yeah.
And she made that on the spur of the moment.
Right.
She made that decision to make that motion in the meeting right there. That's what she told us.
The opposition disagrees. I will tell you that because I know from talking to them, they disagree. They think that this was all, drummed up behind the scenes and that they all wanted Keith Burton. But you know what? If it's Keith Burton, we need to come together and do what's right for these children who are in failing schools.
Nobody has talked about the children.
Yeah.
Nobody. Nobody's talking about the state of our schools.
Improving them.
And improving our schools.
Mm-hmm. Doing better by the kids. That's what we all should be talking about. We shouldn't be talking about, who voted for who and all that. We have to do better by the children. And we have to find a way to make sure that those schools that are failing are improved.
And for them to say, well, Keith Burton's been in the system. He's not been superintendent. And I'll say this also in the presidential race when they're saying, well, Kamala could have done this. She's been in office. Well, she hasn't been the president. I know that's going to surprise a lot of people for me to say. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
But it's not her responsibility.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing.
I don't like to hear that argument.
Right.
Don't blame somebody that hasn't been in that position.
The buck didn't stop with Keith.
Exactly.
He could have given input. He could have given suggestions. Now he's going to be, if he's approved, he's going to be the guy. He's going to be held responsible for improving these schools and finding answers and doing better by our children. And we're going to all hold him accountable.
Sure, we would anybody.
Absolutely. And, we can't keep giving superintendents extension after extension on their contracts when we still have failing schools. We need to stop doing that.
Going to talk Prize Fest coming up after the news. Bottom of the hour, Micah McCarty. Gregory Kellenberg joining us. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.com.
These days, work is in trouble. We've outsourced most of our manufacturing to other countries, sending away good jobs and our capability to make things. American Giant is pushing back against that tide. They make the high-quality clothing staples you need for a comfortable, stylish, and active summer wardrobe. Like vintage-style tees, breathable polos, lightweight sweatshirts, and so much more, right here in the USA. So when you buy American Giant, you create jobs in towns and cities across the country. And jobs bring pride, purpose. They stitch people together. Support America's workers and get 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with promo code STAPLE20. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, code STAPLE20.
Get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Going to talk all things Prize Fest coming up just after the break. Gregory Kallenberg, the grand poobah of Prize Fest, joining us in studio. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
More breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
20 films, $50,000.
Cash moolah.
That sounded pretty good, huh?
I think you just earned yourself a job.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Mike and McCarty in studio with Gregory Kallenberg, the creator, originator of Prize Fest, which started off with Louisiana Film Prize.
It started with the Film Prize, yeah. Way back in 2012. 13th year.
That's crazy.
13th year.
It's grown into, you do food prize and comedy prize and music prize and fashion prize. Wow. Gregory.
It's a lot.
It's amazing.
It's a lot. But and again, we do it right here in Shreveport Bossier, and we have found a wonderful, kind, embracing home. And, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's such a great community to do this festival in.
So tell us about changes for 2024.
Well, the big change is that we're going back to 1 week. We are going back to our epic pre-pandemic form, which is when you get to go do it all in the course of October 16th to October 20th. And we start with Food Prize on Wednesday. Comedy Prize is expanding to 2 shows. We're actually doubling the size of Comedy Prize. There's an early show and a late show on October 17th. And then the 18th and 19th are Music Prize and Film Prize going on at the same time. A simultaneous glitter bomb of fun.
Wow. Now,
glitter bomb of fun.
The Film Prize is the best 20 short films that were made in Louisiana or made in Shreveport Bossier. What are the rules for these?
Well, here's the thing, and I don't want to offend any of my New Orleans friends who might be listening, but what we did this past year is we got a grant from Louisiana Economic Development people down south, and they were like, we want Film Prize to be able to shoot throughout the entire state. And so we said, sure, that sounds like a good idea, but if you shoot it in Jefferson Parish, which is in New Orleans, you win $25,000. If you shoot it in Caddo Parish, you win $50,000. And that's thanks to the Caddo Commission throws in an extra $25,000 so that we can give the world's largest cash prize for a short narrative film if they shoot it in Caddo Parish. And we have really not seen as high numbers of people coming to Shreveport to shoot the film since before the pandemic. And this year they came in droves.
So that was the original, was you had to shoot in Caddo Parish.
Yeah, so that you had to shoot it in Caddo Parish. But I think that one of the things that is important to note is that when they're coming to Caddo Parish, they are eating in our restaurants, staying in our hotels, and hiring our local workers. So, I never, I'm a liberal arts guy. I went to film school, so I didn't know the word, what economic development meant, that could actually have impact. But the idea of these people coming here and doing what they do just even before the festival is something that's incredibly important.
You obviously have been watching the Curtis 50 Cent Jackson moves that could make our area another, film and TV production mecca. Is there any involvement from him? Will he be involved in this at all? Have y'all had any talks?
Well, I would tell you that big shout out to Orville Hall and Temple Williams for everything that they're doing for the community to integrate the Curtis Jackson sort of initiative into town. What we're doing is we're really trying to train up a group of people here in Shreveport to not only create in Shreveport, but also to work in these productions when they get here. So really, when you look at Prize Fest, and especially October 18th and the 19th, I mean, it's certainly about seeing the films and the parties and all the things that people get to do when they come here. But it's also about the creative community coming together, making those connections, creating a network so that once things like Curtis Jackson's initiative starts, Film Prize can really be that foundation that he stands on that allows for him to be successful. And that's really where our goal is.
Because when the film industry came here, it was right after Katrina, really, when it came north. Because hurricane season would drive a lot of productions out of New Orleans, and Shreveport picked up a lot of that. But the problem was, in addition to the tax incentives being obliterated at the time, but there was no infrastructure here like there was, in New Orleans. And so hopefully this will change with carpenters and set builders and electricians and crew members and PAs and, actual film professionals.
This is like, I feel like I'm hearing like a confessional from someone who lived the nightmare. It's like Mike is like, can we get the carpenters here? Yeah. Right. But the fact is that wonderfully enough, and I'll just say it, is that Film Prize, especially in Caddo Parish, produces more minute-for-minute content than anywhere else in the state. So granted, it's independent, but also it's important to note that I think we're on our fourth Film Prize short that's been turned into a feature. So a film called Peeping Todd, which is going to have a sneak peek at Film Prize this year, is another Film Prize short where these people, Josh Buns, Alexander Jeffrey, and his crew, went out, raised funds, and then shot the feature here. So don't sleep on the idea that people aren't already bringing film production back to Shreveport, right? I mean, now, granted, it's not a Marvel movie, but that's not what you have to do to actually sustain an indigenous film community here, which is what Film Prize is focused on.
For folks that want to take part, they've never gone to Film Prize, how do they get tickets? What kind of investment? They say, I've got to see 20 films. They're short films. It's not going to take you forever. Where do I get tickets, and what's the investment?
Wait. So I don't get to philosophize with Mike Martindale about how to rebuild the Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana film community? Really? I'm here to talk about Prize Fest? No way. I'll talk about this other stuff all day long.
I don't mean to derail.
But I will tell you, if anyone's out there, and go to prizefest.com, all the information is there. It's as easy as buying a ticket to Film Prize. You got to see all 20 to vote. That's to give equal regard to all the films. Keep in mind that these films were made by filmmakers from Los Angeles, from Atlanta, Georgia, all over the country. They come to Shreveport, but then they come back. And while it's definitely part of the game to see Film Prize, to see all 20 of your shorts, it's also important to be a part of that community. All these filmmakers want to be your friend. They want your vote. So if you feel like you're lonely, come down to Film Prize because you'll have at least 20 films that particular weekend. And then also Music Prize is another one that's as easy to buy a ticket to and see 11 bands and have the time of your life.
And it sounds daunting. I have to watch 20 films. It really isn't. First of all, they're broken up into two slates of 10 films each. The films range from how many?
5 to 15 minutes. So, the way that we describe it out there is that coming down to Film Prize and you want to vote, you're really seeing 2-2-hour movies over the course of really Thursday to Saturday. So you have a lot of time to see it. And again, like I said, this year we're going back to 1 week. So you see your films during the day, you go to Music Prize at night.
Kinds of films we're going to see, from comedies to horrors. You've got a whole kind of slate, right?
The whole phalanx of genres are represented. We don't have documentary, but when it comes to comedy, horror, rom-com, everything under the moon is really shown at Film Prize. And the cool thing is if you live in Shreveport or Bossier, you get to see your city on the big screen because they shoot it here. It's amazing to see what these filmmakers can do with the backdrop that is Shreveport and Bossier, which is an amazing backdrop.
I remember a director years ago saying, when you shoot in New Orleans, you're shooting New Orleans. He said, but I can make Shreveport Omaha, Nebraska, or I can make Shreveport New York City. He goes, there's no specific architecture that's identifiable immediately.
We have played as science fiction backdrops. We played in big city. We played in the rural. People love to shoot like out on Wallace Lake and places like that. It truly is. I mean, what is so beautiful about Film Prize and why everyone needs to come down and support it is because this community really does put their arms around these filmmakers and really give them the path to success in making a film. And to be down there at the culmination, which is during Prize Fest between, October 16th and the 19th, if you want to see the films or eat the food or go to Comedy Prize or hear the music, I mean, it really is something incredibly special. And when I say special, it's not special in Shreveport. It's not special in Louisiana. It's special in the United States. You got to come and be a part of it.
Let me ask you a question that sounds like it's a secret. For Food Prize, do you know ahead of time what they're serving, or is it like they can keep that a secret and then they just bring out the food?
Well, another big part of the changes this year, because, Food Prize has really helped the local culinary community. And we are now expanding in a way that is creating national waves out there. And just ask Tim Carman from the Washington Post, the food critic who comes in to judge Food Prize. But there are two components to it. One is called Come and Get It. Super expensive ticket, but we take local chefs and we pair them with celebrity chefs. There's also a Golden Shaker competition. Then 3 of those chefs will actually make it to the finals. The finals is called the Battle for the Golden Fork. It's on Saturday at 3 p.m. It's open to the public. And if you want to see the community show up and show out for their local chefs and scream their heads off, and it's the weirdest thing, Aaron, because at the end of the day, you don't get to, for the Battle of the Golden Fork, you don't get to taste the food, and you really can't see them cook it either. But people go crazy because, again, this community is a community that lifts these local chefs up. So it's a important component of what we do now.
Does it have to be locally sourced foods? I mean, are there any rules with regard to that?
We do as much as we can to create opportunities for local purveyors of everything. So I think it's incredibly important to note that at Film Prize, we are hyper-focused on uplifting and shining a light on our local community, and that's why people need to show up and show out and be loud.
It's so much fun. October 16th is when it kicks off. And I know just during Film Prize, you shut that block off in front of Art Space. The filmmakers set up their tents. They're setting up tables. You've got stages set up down there. You've got It is an atmosphere. It is so much fun. Even if you've never been, go experience that.
Well, we'd love for you to buy a ticket and be a part of Film Prize or Music Prize, Food Prize, definitely Comedy Prize. Comedy Prize is always a hot ticket. Definitely take a look at that. But you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to offer the opportunity for people to participate at every level, from the most expensive level down to free. And when you look at where we close off Texas Street in front of Art Space, we now are calling that Prize Island. There's a prize vibe down there. We're teaming up with Sylvester Marshall from Social Circle. And on Saturday, we're going to be doing yoga. We're going to be doing talks with filmmakers and creators that are out there. We're going to be doing a mixology demonstration that's all free to the public. So you got to come down and be a part of it.
Where's Comedy Prize? Where are they going to perform?
Comedy Prize has moved to the Music Prize Garage, and it is something to behold. I mean, we have national comedians from all over the country coming to Shreveport, Louisiana to perform. Now, these are comedians that are about to have HBO specials or were in Netflix as a joke. I mean, these are top-notch comedians, and they're here because of the judges. People like Charlie Sotelo from South by Southwest Comedy, Michael Cox, who books for The Fallon Show. They come to Shreveport because they love our city, right? Wow. They love our city. And as a result, these comedians fly in from all over the country to perform. And again, this year we're doubling the size of Comedy Prize. It's going to be 2 shows, an early show and a late show. We're releasing the lineup today. So it is something where everyone needs to have their finger on the button, because that show, comedy show, early show and late show, will probably sell out pretty quickly.
So cool. So exciting. Gregory Kallenberg, the Prize Fest head cheese.
I love it.
Yeah.
Head cheese. I'm head cheese.
It's prizefest.com.
Prizefest.com.
Find out all the information, all the scheduling. In October 16th is when it all kicks off. Again, kudos for you bringing this to Shreveport, continuing to grow it. It's just an honor to have you in here on the show.
Well, before I leave, I just want to say one thing. Can I say one thing?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
All right. Viva Mike and Aaron. Viva Mike and Aaron, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful. This is awesome.
Can't top that. 101.7 FM 7. I turned off my own mic. 710 KEEL.
Back to the big stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Ruby, come back.
He'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
You did good.
Well,
still 5 minutes
it
to
ain't
screw
over
up.
yet. We were talking earlier about the Caddo Parish School Board, and they're having a special meeting tomorrow.
1:30.
1:30 tomorrow, open to the public. And I guess they're going to extend the invitation, if you will, the job to Keith Burton.
They're expected to take a vote. And we'll be watching that vote. I'm hearing that it is going to be a positive vote for Burton. I'm hearing from different school board members saying that they're anticipating that Burton will be voted. Yes, it'll be a vote. I don't know that it'll be unanimous yet. I'm hopeful that they will come together and say, okay, he has the votes. Let's all take it. Usually they'll take a vote, and then then they'll go, let's revote, and then make it unanimous. So I'm hoping they do that, and we come together and move forward. Keith Burton will join us in studio on Thursday morning. That's the plan right now, if he's voted in. I think we're scheduling. Did we talk to somebody from the opposition? I think they're planning to come in tomorrow.
We got a phone call. We did get a phone call saying they wanted to come in tomorrow.
Okay, so we will schedule that. I'm not opposed to that. Let's let them come in, and I want to hear all their objections. What was missed in the process? What did the school board do wrong? What are your claims? And let's find out. Are you going to pursue any further legal action? Will we move forward? Will this delay, Keith Burton taking over? I'm not sure. I just know meeting 1:30 tomorrow. The public it's open. Public will have a chance to speak,
so
and then
the public will have an opportunity to address their concerns, pro or con.
Yep, absolutely. And I anticipate there'll be a full room. And again, they'll line up and get their 3 minutes, and it'll take a long time. But the board knows that. They're prepared for that, I'm sure. And we'll keep an eye on it. We'll let you know what they do. We'll follow up. And again, tomorrow we'll have somebody from the opposition. Hopefully will join us in studio, and let's hear their side. Definitely.
I would just love to see this city, this community come together at some point.
Absolutely.
Come together.
Absolutely. We need to.
Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710keel.com.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.